Hello. Okay, so this one's going to be a little bit different. So I'm just going to have some background footage here from one of previous streams, which is obviously the first war here, which was a bit of a meme, and I want to talk about why it was a bit of a meme, and it's going to be regarding the changes that have obviously been happening with the game, from closed beta to open beta. So there's quite a few things that have changed, and I think it's worth discussing those and explaining a little bit more about what's been going on there. So one of the things I think is the most important thing to start with is the change of PvP scaling. So they've removed PvP scaling essentially, like almost completely. And I actually think that this is a very bad change that's going to negatively affect the game, especially for people who actually want to play for PvP. So like for me, I only play New World because of the PvP, and in my opinion, even in an MMO, PvP should always be skill-based. It shouldn't be time-based. Like, PvE should be mechanical knowledge and time investment. So you get better gear, PvE gets easier. You understand mechanics, PvE gets easier. PvP should always be mechanical and skill-based. It shouldn't be, I'm level 40, therefore I beat 1 to 39. It should never be that. The way they did it in closed beta, to me, felt much better because it was fairer. So, at level 20, even with PvP scaling, would never be at level 60. That never happened. People who claim that happened, they got to level 60 using an exploit and had no weapon levels. So that's why they would then argue that PvP scaling is broken, I can't win, I'm level 60, I'm getting killed by level 25s. The reason they were losing those fights is because that level 25 had leveled 1 to 25, got the appropriate level gear for faction gear, which is better than pickup gear, and they'd leveled up their weapons. So a level 60 with level 1 weapons, always going to lose in that kit scenario, which they should. They shouldn't win just because they've got to 60 first. They should have the same weapon skill or better, and they should have better gear. And for anyone who says that a level 60 would lose to level like 20 or 14 faction gear when they were geared, never happened. Like when I got to level 60 and I had level 20 weapons, and I was in full 550 gear, which is the faction gear, not even the end game gear, which is 600. I won it easily against anyone low level. There was no competition. Even other level 60s I was beating easily because I just had better gear, better weapon levels. They hadn't done what I had done to get those up. So like even if I tried twinking at level 20, so I had level 20 weapons, I had faction gear. If I was able to kill someone who was a higher level, like obviously experience that you get is based on how many tokens they've had. So it's based on if they've been doing faction quests or not. If they haven't been doing that, they're not going to be giving you much EXP. But the people that have, if you're somehow beating them, you're going to level very quickly. So you're never going to be able to hang around twinking. So I think it was better. Because right now, I was ahead of the curve. So I was about 10 levels higher than the rest of the server. There was a couple of people a few levels higher than me. But even them, I was competitive. Like, I find those people a couple of higher than me. And I could compete because I had higher weapon levels. So even in the current system, by having higher weapon levels, I could compete. Hard to win, but it was doable. Like, even with me v Duelist that we did at the end, I was level 45, he was level 40. We both had level 40 faction gear, so we had the exact same gear. I had level 20 weapons, he had level 20 weapons. In the time he took to get me to half health, I had already killed him. So just that 5 level difference meant we were no longer competitively viable against each other. So 5 levels made a huge difference. Now think about what 10, 15 levels does. And because of that, I feel like if you're ahead of the curve, you're not going to see PvP. And if you're behind the curve, say you start a day late, you're now not going to be able to PvP until level 60. And it's not just going to be level 60, because say you take a week, 2 weeks to get to level 60, because you're actually just playing the game. You're just doing questing. You're not doing 15-hour days. You're just chilling, 5 hours a day. By the time you get to level 60, everyone else is going to be in fully crafted faction gear. And because they're in a company, they're pooling resources. you're behind. You're now 2 months behind because solo, you're going to have to get all your stuff up to maximum. You're going to have to get maximum weapon crafting. You're going to have to get maximum armor crafting. You're going to have to, well, it's the same thing, but you're going to have to get maximum like jewelry. You're going to have to get maximum gem cutting. You're not going to be in any wars all this time because no one's just going to add in some random that's not in a company, which is how most people are going to play. They're going to play solo or 1 or 2 friends, which is technically what I did with this, even though we had people's viewers joining and we had a company. But because of that, you're not going to be competitively viable against the competitive companies. They're not going to use you. With no scaling, they're not even going to use you to top up the things because it's going to be better for them to use people that they know and people that they know that have bothered to keep up. So if you're behind the curve, there's going to be no reason for them to use you because they're like, well, because there's no scaling, you're just going to die in one shot to artillery or to another higher level player. You're probably not going to follow what we're doing. You don't know our strategies. So you're just not going to see PvP. And I think because of that, that's going to ruin the experience for everyone who wants PvP. Like, people who want PvP servers, they don't understand that in this system, their servers are going to be dead within a week because people won't play because they're like, I started 2 hours behind. It's impossible for me to play this game. It's just, you're never going to be able to quest. You're just going to be getting farmed in low-level questing areas because there's never a reason for high levels to leave the low-level areas because the low-level areas is where you get tier 1 resources. You need those resources to do everything in the game. So level 60s are going to be coming back to these areas and you're just not going to make it. I think they need to go back to PvP scaling from the first one. I would be interested in seeing any arguments the otherwise. But so far, I don't see it. And I say this as someone who was ahead of the curve. Like, closed beta, even when I was level 40 fighting people at level 60 who had used exploits to get to 60 very early, I was still having fun. I could compete with them, and the only time I couldn't compete with them was when around day 10, where the level 60s, that had been level 60 since day 1, had finally got their level 60 faction gear, and at that point, then it was done. There was no chance. They started steamrolling every war because they were level 60, the rest of the server was 40, and there was nothing you could do. You just couldn't do it. So actual level 60s will still succeed. So the previous one, not bad. Not bad at all. But yeah, the new system, not enjoying it. The second thing is, so far, I see a lot of people on Reddit having the worst take in the world, which is life staff needs to be buffed. Oof. How do we begin tackling this issue? Life staff wasn't really nerfed. They say life staff got nerfed because it's now, you get 20% healing reduction unless you're in light armor. That's not a nerf. Because before, the passives weren't working. So now you have passives that can technically go up to 180% extra healing, which before wasn't working. So 20% nerf, 180% more, still 160% buff. So I don't understand. Like, I had people when I was playing live who were coming in saying, yeah, how does life staff feel with the nerfs? There weren't nerfs. It now heals more. Some people were saying at level 14 you should never see people like healing more than 2k, 4k, but that's just not the case. Like, I saw 7k heals, 8k heals. I tried a 1v1 with Baggings, who at level 35 had, level 40 had about 7k health. I got him down by 95% and he healed to full in one ability. And the people have said, oh, I've done the math. You couldn't have possibly healed 6 to 7k. It's like, I have footage of him doing it. So it's, I remember the tooltips of this game might not always be accurate. And like, as you can see here, like in the background, going onto the PvP game thing, you can just see us just mowing through them. And we have a healer on our team. And I'm squishy. Like, I die in like 4 shots to anything anyway because I'm a mage, and our healer is able to keep me alive with multiple people attacking me, and because of how easy it is for healers to put down AoEs and fight around AoEs, it is so easy to keep alive. And it's like with healing, I think it needs some sort of nerf for PvP. What most games do is there's like a 20% healing nerf when you're in PvP that doesn't affect PvP. And, PvE. So if you're in PvE, as it is now, absolutely fine. I think you can get away with life staff being the same PvE. Because of how much they've buffed bosses and expeditions, we found that our tank could get 4-shot by one ability of the final raid boss in the depths, but only if he didn't iframe it. So that means we should only be wiping if the tank forgets to use the dodge button. And I'm fine with that. I think that's the way it should be. Like, if he forgets to iframe certain mechanics, that means it's not just a sponge check or a heal check. It means that there's mechanics that the party need to avoid and do, and then the healer can do the rest. And as long as they're keeping their healers up in the right place, that's fine. It's fun. It's enjoyable. Like, we had one guy in the expedition who had no con, was on a bow rapier build, so he had no AoE DPS, even though we needed, there was an AoE DPS check. And he got 2-shot by anything the boss did, normal attacks. And if he did his charge attack, it'd 1-shot him. But we got through it, and our healer had to manage to get him through that because he was good enough to keep the AoEs up, and he had one single target ability, and it was fine. But when it came to PvP, 1v1, you couldn't outdo a healer. And even if somehow both of his heals were on cooldown, his single target heal was on cooldown, his mana was low, he pops a mana potion, he pops a healing potion. He's back to full anyway. Then he's got his heals back. So then now I can't break it. And people are like, oh, well, yeah, well, a DPS shouldn't be able to kill a healer in a 1v1. You should have to use crowd control. And it's like, what crowd control? What CC does this game have? Let's break it down. So we've got currently the worst weapon in the game. And that can be a discussion for later, but the hammer. Bad tracking, low damage. It has a sleep and a knockdown. So it doesn't actually have CC. It has a sleep, which means if you hit them again, they wake up. And the hammer's sleeps, knockdowns, and stuns, they do, even at level 60, about 400 damage. You have like 13 to 15k health if you're in a con healer build. So you're not going to kill him that way. And so you can't actually damage quick enough to do it. And even if you could, like, say we upped the damage of these and that sleep became an actual, like, it became an actual stun, meaning you could hit them when they did it. Even then, I still don't think you have the damage to do it because they can just heal back to full in almost one ability, 2 abilities. And they're in AoE heals, so even if they can't take actions, they still have passive healing. So the hammer's not going to do it, but the hammer does need some buffs, I think. If its sleeps became actual stuns and the abilities themselves, because they have very slow startup and quite long recovery, so all you have to do basically is face tank the auto attacks, or you can just kite them, run left and right, it won't track you very well. Dodge the heavies, and if you're medium armor, that's pretty easy to do, even in light. And then when you see the abilities coming, dodge those as well, and just don't dodge anything else, and just watch your stamina, and then he's never going to kill you. So let's talk about the, anyone who's saying that life staff needs a buff just hasn't played high-level PvE or high-level PvP. What they've done is they've made a full focus build with no cons, so they're squishy. They've not leveled up their weapons, and they're dying before heals take effect, because obviously if you take too much damage, like heals doesn't mitigate damage. So if you had 3k health and you take a 4k hit, you're dead. But if you have 5k health and you take a 4k hit and then you instantly heal that, then you probably won't even see your health move, so you didn't even notice it happened. I think that's what it must be what these people on Reddit are saying, where they're saying, oh yeah, my life staff doesn't feel good. And then other people say that, oh well, the life staff can't kill you either. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Its autos outtrade every weapon in the game. I don't know a single weapon that can outtrade the life staff on left clicks. If someone knows, tell me. And if it can it break their healing whilst they're also shooting you? It's like, yeah, what do you do? So, and then people are like, oh yeah, but you have abilities. Most abilities actually lower your DPS. The only time you should be using abilities is normally if they run out of stamina, or you set up something else. So like on the Great Axe, if you do 2 hits, there's quite a bit of recovery before you can do another hit. But if you do 2 hits then charge, it's instant, or 2 hits then reap, it's instant. So you basically cancel the cooldown with the ability, and that's when you would be trying to use that there to keep your DPS up. But even if you're doing that, you won't break the healer's healing, and their left clicking will still kill you. So let's talk about, say, the spear. Spear, I think, is actually is the best middle-of-the-road weapon. For PvP, it's like the solid C tier. It should be the basis for most of them. It just needs a slight tracking improvement. But it's like you can knock people down, and you can do a really good combo where you can do about, I saw 3 to 5k damage combos, which is really good. But if that combo doesn't kill the healer because he has con investment, he just gets up and heals back to full, and he could be kiting your auto attacks to get off those heals, so you're not going to kill him straight away. It's like he just get out, pop, AoE heals, and then he starts shooting you. You're all on cooldown. What do you do now? I don't think you can do it. Some people said the Rapier. Now, the Rapier itself is interesting because I did some duels against a Rapier. I, at first, beat it 5 times very easy. Couldn't do anything. Then what the Rapier started doing was he started playing really passively, where he wouldn't attack and he'd wait for me to... He'd just try dodging my autos, wait for me to try using a spell, and then he would use counter, and then he would do a combo from counter, which was... it would allow him to do a heavy and then do a dodge, then a light combo. And that was actually enough to burst through my health to kill me because I was super squishy. But then I put some more points into con, then he couldn't do that. And at the same time, I could still 4-shot him with autos myself. So all I had to do is keep away from the Rapier, watch my stamina, dodge his flèche, and then there was nothing he could do. But then he tried swapping to Bow. Bow did absolutely nothing unless he clipped me with this stun ability, because there's an ability on Bow where it can stagger you, and then he could out damage me to kill me. But at the same time, if I avoid that, I can still then 4-shot him. So it's... That was against a very squishy mage. So now, if you consider if I was on a healer build, that's a con build. So I'm in heavy chest or medium, which is actually just the medium armor of no chest has more than light. So then you add that heavy chest, which is the most valuable bit. Then you've got way more than full medium. Then how do you kill that healer that's got 100 points in con? Because you'll never be able to burst that amount of health before they can out heal it. It's like. I'm not sure how you go about it, and if the healer's running with no range weapon, you can stop him. Honestly, I think if say you forced a healer out of his healing somehow, you found a way. I don't know what you did to do it, but you found a way to knock him out of his healing. So he's now running. You shoot. You have to try and catch up to him. How do you catch up with him? If you don't have a great axe, you can't. Like, if you shoot him in the back with a ranged weapon, it hits them, it damages them, but it doesn't slow them. But you've stopped to walk speed now, and he's now outside of your range, and you can't keep doing him. He's broken line of sight, and he's just gone. Bye. Like, I think range attacks, if they hit people in the back, should actually slow them like a melee attack does. It's the only way I think that range could be viable in open world to actually get a kill without people just running. But then it's like, how do other weapons keep up if they don't have a range option? So it's like it's like the game's trying to force everyone to use Great Axe, and I think that needs to be adjusted. So right now, Great Axe, Life Staff, almost an unstoppable combo. And Life Staff with Ice Gauntlet, you just can't really kill it, because even if you break the healing somehow, they've got no healing cooldown. You jump out them, they just Ice Tomb, sit in it, get their cooldowns back, AoE out of it, put the heals down, and start auto attacking you. So I don't think Life Staff needs a buff, is what I'm saying with that long rant. I think it needs to have a 20% scaling for PvP. So if you're in PvP, or even just self-healing, just nerf self-healing by 20%, but they keep self-healing up on the rest of the party. Just do it that. If AGS can't code a way to have PvP scaling for combat, then just self-healing's 20% less than healing someone else. That's it. Because I can kill a healer if he's trying to heal someone else, but if he switches his healing to himself, I can't. If I can kill someone else by trying to chase them off, because obviously the healer can't keep putting his AoEs down in everywhere in combat if the guys are split up. So basically what you have to do in group fights, so see, group fights, you can kill a healer. So the healer puts down all of his AoE heals on his teammates, and then you just ignore them and bum rush the healer and stop him getting into there. So it's got to be something you can work out too. But yeah, like Tio, what you're saying there, absolutely right. If you are in PvP, you've been hit by a PvP player, you have 20% less healing for 10 seconds because you're counted as in PvP. The game should be able to work that out. Or even like 30%. Something, there's got to be a way to do it. Like, come on, this is Amazon. They're not a niche independent company. But those are the two main things that I think need to be addressed from the closed to open beta. I actually kind of like the armor changes. It did suck being a mage, being able to be like in one of the, like this war here, even though I was ahead, people who are 5 levels behind me, like could 4-shot me. Like a great axe could still kill me. Like I think that you'll see a clip in the background here where some of a great axe comes up and just 4-shots me. If I was still in medium armor using light roll, I probably could face tank it, but I can't do it in light armor using light roll. So I actually think that's a really good change. I like that you can only now use 1 roll rather than 2 because the stamina change, which wasn't even in the patch notes, I think that very much improves the game, because my biggest criticism about the game closed beta is you get rewarded for not managing your stamina. And that should never be a thing. So I think that is a very healthy change for the game. Very healthy change. And I think that doing that, they're very positive. And changes like that is what I want to see. Because obviously I didn't play alpha. I played closed beta. I played open beta. And that's all I can really base my opinions on. People can tell me about other stuff. That's good. Like I think that's a good change. Some of the other stuff I got told about, they sounded really bad. But in that scenario, that's good. But as you can see in this war here, like, look. So we were just helping about Demise here. Demise are 5 levels ahead of this other team, and they're just steamrolling through them. And when we did another war against Demise later, we were on the other side, and everyone on our team was level 15 to 25, and Demise were 35 to 45. Like, one of their guys was 49, and we were 45. So us 5... we were fine. I don't think anyone killed a Demise player in the war that wasn't us. Like, some of them are in chat. Maybe you can tell us. If you were in the final war for Brightwood, were you killed by anyone that wasn't in my group here on screen? That wasn't killed by either me, Umby, Baggins, Renfield, or who else did we have? Or whoever else was in our group. Did you get killed by any of the random Covenant players in the final war? Because if you did, I'd be surprised. But I think that's going to be a problem launch. Like, if you have just one competitive guild and there's no PvP scaling, they're going to get so far ahead, the rest of the server's never going to be able to compete. And even if it was even, how does a random team of like 50 people that have no communication be an organized company? I don't think it's going to happen. So I think every server's going to have like one tryhard company that's just going to dominate. So that was something I was talking about with some of the guys' Demise just before I started the stream is, I think they're actually going to need to invite other try-hard companies to the same server and be like, look, the only way we can really do this is one of you go one faction, we'll go the other, and you go the other. And if there are streamers, zergs, random server, it doesn't matter. They can do whatever they want. We're probably going to beat them. And it's just going to make it more interesting for the dynamic for all of us. But, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I feel... we'll talk about the rest of the weapons. I didn't use the magical stuff in the closed beta very much. I did for a few levels for AoE farming, but I didn't really use it in PvP, which I did in this one. And for PvE leveling, it felt bad. It felt very bad. Like, you are completely pot heavy. When Duelist says, I don't like this build because it has no self-sustain, I felt that. Like, if you don't have a Lifestaff or Hatchet, this game feels bad to level. It feels bad because you're having to use so many pots and food just to keep up with PvE if you're playing solo. And I did not like that. I'm looking forward to Void Gauntlet. When Void Gauntlet's out, obviously Magic Int builds are going to be able to use Void Gauntlet. That's going to be great. But then, what does Dex do with no sustain? Because they have to use a Hatchet as well. Because a Hatchet is a Dex strength weapon. So Dex and strength builds can use it as a secondary. Absolutely fine. I think every build is unfortunately going to be stuck to having a Hatchet secondary unless you can use the Lifestaff. I just think that's the way the game is at the moment. I think there should be other ways to recover health when you're fighting PvE. I think you need some self-sustain. That's something I would like to see. Obviously, when we get the Void Gauntlet, that means every build is going to have one type of it. But that means you're now going to have to use Firestaff Void Gauntlet or Ice Gauntlet Void Gauntlet. That's the one I'm probably going to plan on using. Or you're going to have to use Spear Hatchet, Rapier Hatchet, Great Axe Hatchet, Sword Hatchet, or Lifestaff anything, because Lifestaff is the most superior weapon that has ever existed in the game, and why people don't think it's the most superior PvE/PvP weapon, I have no idea. I don't know what people have been playing, but they've not been playing the same game as me. Oh yeah, that's artillery. That was something we also talked about, was artillery got a 30% buff, and people said, oh, but now armor applies to it, so that means it got a nerf. No. Artillery did not get a nerf. You saw how quickly I got destroyed there by a repeater. That's a level 1 repeater. Just went dugga 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 dugga. Dead. Dead. It'd be interesting to see 60, what it looks like there, because we didn't get to test that. But I'm just going to quickly scroll chat now and see what some people have been saying, because obviously, let's see what points people have been bringing up. So yeah, Tio saying you're preaching to the converted, that's for sure. Then Zay? I'm going to say Zay. Yeah, it's in Greek. Life staff is cancer. Yep. The opposite position, people need to use CCC to prevent the healer dying, never comes up right. Yeah, it's like you can use CC to prevent the healer from dying. Because like the healer himself can use Ice Gauntlet to do that. He can slow people get into him. He can use Ice Shower. He can use Ice Tomb. You could actually, like, yeah, Hammer, Spear, they can use their CC to keep you off the healer very easily. Because if you're focused on the healer, you're not looking for the CC coming from the other guy, and it's going to be very hard to dodge that. And even if you dodge it, you're now off the healer. The healer survives. So it's much easier to use CC to keep a healer alive than it is to actually kill a healer, which is very interesting. Sleeping, you can heal yourself and create space. Yep. Whoever's saying life staff is fine, hasn't played an hour during the open beta, 100% sneeze. The only way I've killed healers is if they stood in my Ice Shower and Ice Storm with their heal on cooldown and me spamming heavy them. Yep. Also, there's an interesting one that I've Duelist showed me right at the end of closed beta, is Ice Shower will true combo into Incinerate and Fireball, because it knocks them sliding and then you can Fireball, and it's a very good true combo it all works together. It's especially really good true combo. I actually really like that. I wish I knew about that whilst playing, but the thing is, because I was higher level than the rest of the server, I didn't get to practice PvP. Like, the only person who actually PvP'd me was Big Bear, and Big Bear spent all of his time hiding behind trees, using pots, running to mobs, so mobs would start chasing him, and then I would shoot him, and then because I was doing DPS, it would tether the mobs to me, and then he would fight me. So Big Bear did not give me a chance to learn any mechanics of the game. But then when I played Duelist at the end, I started learning how to lead my shots. I started learning how to use stamina management on both people's sides, so you can see their stamina, how to then use that to use my abilities, and then obviously learning spell combos. I didn't get to do any of that. I played over 15 hours a day on stream. I didn't get to test nothing. I tested nothing. So I had no idea how any of it worked until before I logged off on the final day. Like, we'd done the final war, I was level 45, there was another 18 hours of the open beta, but I saw no point in continuing playing, because you couldn't do any more wars, there had been no PvP, I was too far ahead for anyone to catch up to me. I think, like, the rest of my party actually managed to get to 45 before it ended, but at that point, like, we couldn't even test Scorpius. Oh yeah, the changes there for AoE farming I don't like. We'll talk about some of the EXP changes that I don't like in a second. But yeah, I didn't get to really experience true PvP, because even in this war, I'm two-shotting everyone. So it's like, if I miss an ability, nothing happens. But I hit them, they just die. I had the highest damage in this war, and it was through mostly just Ice Showers. But the thing is, I had like 185 assists in this war, which is a lot. And I think that for those 185, those were actually my downs. Because obviously you only get kills if you kill someone that's laying on the floor. So people that had high kills were probably just running around killing down people, which you don't want to do, because you want them to take longer to respawn. But like, you can see that what's going on here. It's like, I'm dropping that Ice Shout, and that guy's got a hatchet, so he's got some immortality, but then yeah, he's dead. And it's like, Fire Staff is actually good for shooting people off there. I think muskets, now that everyone's in light armor, could actually be useful for sniping people off artillery. But again, you can use Ice Gauntlet for that. You can use Fire Staff for that. You can use Life Staff for that. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. Gemetic saying he's away. Duelist seems to struggle versus bow. If you're good at aiming, it seems really strong. No, it's not that. Duelist, it was just squishy. So bow is single target, and now that everyone's in light armor, bow is better. But it's not going to be able to take out a healer. It's still probably going to struggle taking out a Great Axe and anyone that's in heavy armor. But the main problem of it is ammo requirements. You have to be crafting ammo to be competitive, and you can't be missing your shots. Like, I played someone who's actually meant to be an FPS pro, and he was very good. Like, every bow shot he took, he landed. But if we traded shots, he would die every time, because he was also in light armor. So it's like a glass cannon as well, but it's like a less efficient glass cannon, because it's like you're playing mage without AoE. So that's my main problem with bow. I think bow should have better AoE, and then it'd be very good. I think that's what it needs to be changing. Like, think of, if you ever played Dragon Age or Dragon Age Inquisition, some of the bow AoEs from that, like Rain of Arrows and stuff, I think that'd be much better. And the fact that the bow has some staggers on it is really good. Like, staggers on some of the bow skills, if you land them, you can set up so many good combos. So I think there's a lot of potential there. So okay, Tio's talking about coding for the 20% healing, which I mentioned. Yeah, that's good. Just give most weapons a heal percent debuff. That'd be good. Heal debuffs in auto attacks is a good change too. Basics. I'm most likely going to start with Ice Gauntlet and Rapier. Which stat to go for? I worked out that... Well, technically, you could just go in for that. You could just go in for that, and you could just put in a Arcane Gem into your Rapier, and that'll be absolutely fine. If you go Dex, then obviously the Ice Gauntlet will suffer. You want int for the Ice Gauntlet, unless you're just using the Ice Gauntlet to escape like you would on a Life Staff build. Because when you use Ice Gauntlet on Life Staff, it's not for DPS. Like, you actually don't take the final ability in Ice Storm, because the final ability is the one that makes it do 10% more damage per people in the Ice Storm. But when you swap weapons, it disappears. If you don't take that ability, you're actually just using Ice Storm slow. So you pop out the Ice Gauntlet, use Ice Storm, swap back to Life Staff. They've now got a slow on them, and then now you can keep doing DPS with the Life Staff. Or, instead of doing that, you can use Ice Shower or Ice Tomb, so it's a good defensive weapon. So yeah, if you're not leveling in, you're not going to be using the Ice Gauntlet for DPS. But yeah, no sustain on that. Again, yeah, that's true. You don't have any sustain. Like, you want most of your builds to have sustain. Let me just quickly put up a different highlight here, because obviously we're playing that. Otherwise, we're just going to be streaming ourselves. So I've already got... So I'm going to put some of the mage scrims in the background that I did with Duelist. So this was me actually learning the mechanics of of how to actually use mage here in the background with Duelist. Oh wow, did I really stream such low quality? GG. To be fair, we were focused on you when we saw you. No, you should. Actually, that is something I said to Big Bear before the war. I told him before the war that you guys are probably going to steamroll. All you really need to do is focus Duelist group when you see us, because we're the only 5 people that are a threat. And if we're dead, you're going to one-shot everyone else. And the fact that you guys did that, that's smart. And yeah, we saw you guys on the artillery, and we were telling people to attack the artillery, and no one did. No one would go attack the artillery. And I think I killed Eski a few times whilst he was on artillery with fire staff auto attacks. But I can't DPS 4 different pieces of artillery, so I kept having to retreat. Like in that war, I died a couple of times, but I didn't really do anything. And what was funny is I had the 6th highest damage in the war, and I think I got that from just 2 uses of Ice Storm on the main gate. That was it. That was the only DPS I did then. For those guys with graphics cards, can you get 60 FPS in this game? I was playing on low. I was getting about 90 FPS most of the time, so yeah. Musket is the way. It's actually hard to play. Yeah, Musket seems quite cool. But yeah, it looks like it'd be fun for open world PvP. I wanted to get Gemetic in here because he had an interesting story to tell you about PvP scaling in Musket when he was level 9 trying to level with his brother. Because I think his experience with the game perfectly highlights what it's going to be like if you don't start ahead of the curve. What is he reading of? If I was shooting people off, Musket seems actually useful. Yeah, I think Musket's going to be quite cool. Stinky's here. Void Gauntlet launches. Everyone's going to be using Life Staff plus Void if they don't nerf Life Staff. Well, they don't even need Void Gauntlet, but yeah, I think so. I want to use Void Gauntlet. So let's grab Stinky real quick so we can get him into this call. I want him to say this. So Stinky, I think your experience highlights perfectly highlights what PvP scaling is like. So tell the chat about what day you started, where you started, and what you were doing with your brother and etc. Oh, 1 second. Your audio's not coming out of my earpiece. I think I've set you to the wrong place. Let me just quickly check my audio. Technical issue here. So, okay, speak now.
Yes, so I started on the 11th.
Yep.
September. So on Saturday. Late Saturday,
so
might I add.
Day 2.
Day 2, yeah. And I was going to show my brother the ropes, and we went and started to level together in First Light. I got to level 8 up to 11, and I was thinking, you know what, I'm going to PvP flag because it was fun in the closed beta. Let's try to do it now. And I was about 15 seconds in, I saw a guy running behind me who was PvP flagged, but he will never know that I was PvP flagged. He just believed I was PvP flagged when I ran out of First Light. And the moment I glowed red, he shot me with a musket, and I felt the pain, and he was like level 27, 30. It was great. That was when I didn't PvP flag anymore.
Yeah. So you started day 2, you're 20 you're 20 levels behind-ish, like technically like 18, but yeah, so now you can't play PvP till you're level 60. You can't get into wars, and you're just locked out. And if the rest of the servers are all level 60 first, you're now locked out until you have 600 gear score, and it's going to take you 10 hours to get the level 60 faction gear because they doubled the faction tokens and nerfed the faction you get from Great Cleave. So, and if people are camping it, so if you get to level 60 and then your guild camps Great Cleave, no one else can get the level 60 faction gear. You can literally troll the fastest farm for it. So now they have to go somewhere else, and it could take them 20 hours to get the level 60 gear, and now they just can't PvP. And yeah, you saw that. I'm 5 levels higher than Duelist in the background here, and I 2-shot him if I land an ability in a heavy. This is why, like, 5 levels makes that much difference with no PvP escape. We're in the exact same gear. All I have is 5 levels. We're using the exact same build, and yeah, I've just got 5 levels. So, like, this is him showing me. That's a true combo, by the way. So if you catch someone in Ice Shower, that's a true combo. So he did all that damage from that true combo, and now I'm pretty much dead here. So you can land that. You can land this, and look at the damage there. So we are 80% each other if we get the good true combo here. But yeah, you can see that light attack there. Being able to world PvP and then having elites to yourself in front of the curve is worth so much more. Yes, weapon XP. Okay, so what we learned was when we quested, when we got to level 18, we tried to do the level 25 XP farm, which could. Impossible, because they gave the mobs a 20-30% health buff and damage buff. So they pretty much taken elite farming out of it. You can do it from level 24 to 34, and then you can't do it again to maybe 47, 49 where you can go to Scorpius. So everything beyond that is just main quest, side quest. Because portals, they don't give that good EXP. You might as well be questing, because they nerf that, because they don't want people to be in portals. If you have more than 4 people at an elite farm, you now can't do that because there's too much going on there. You're now going to struggle to be doing the elite farms because of that. If you don't want to do the main quest and you want PvP, if you're behind the curve, you're going to struggle doing that. So you're not going to really be able to do that for it. So the only way you've really got to level is to be PvE flagged, doing town boards or main quest, side quests. But I did elite mob farm from 24 to 34, so that's why I had level 20 weapons. That's why we were ahead of the curve for most of people. Not everyone, because some people just pure quested, and they managed to get ahead of us whilst we were messing around. The level 35 elites, there aren't enough of them. It's too slow. It's just slower than questing, because there's just not enough. It's not really worth it, especially if other people come. You're going to be fighting for these mobs, and if anyone PvE flagged is there, you're just done. And it's like, when we were trying to do the level 25 elites, PvE people from our own streams came to leech EXP, and just having one person there was a 20% EXP drop, even though they weren't in our groups. So it's like, we either have to kindly ask them to leave, or drag mobs to kill them. And if they know how to avoid it, they can just stand on top of walls where mobs can't get them. They're now just leeching 20% EXP, because they can just do some tag the mobs, and now they're draining 20% of our EXP. So it's not really that worth viable. So it's like they've taken out all the fun ways. Like, I don't enjoy the questing in this game, because the main issue I have with the quest is it's go to area, find 7 chests, and there's only 7 in the area, and so you have to find where they are, and then kill this many mobs. And that's it. That gets boring. I don't like hunting for chests. I don't like... If I don't have self-sustain, I didn't like killing mobs. When I had a hatchet, loved killing me some mobs. Killing mobs was the greatest. When you don't have hatchets, killing mobs sucks, because all it does is drain food and potions. Like, until I learned to just take one mob at a time, because I could DPS them quick enough before they can get one hit. But if there's 2, there's splits. You can't do that. So it's annoying. If the hammer has any self-sustain, then that's fine. But if it doesn't have self-sustain, then you still need a hatchet. So then, essentially, again, you're using the hatchet for self-sustain. So it's like, I still think the most efficient way to do PvE and level in this game is get a hatchet, get a life staff, PvE flag, main quest, side quest, that's it. And just do that till level 24. Meet up with a group, swap out to Ice Gauntlet, go to an int build. You clear one wave, you can get Ice Storm. Once you have Ice Storm level 24, 2 of you with that, a healer and a tank, you can just group up the enemies, heal through any damage. You just drop Ice Storms, and then you just burst them down. And that's like 32 to 34k EXP plus an hour. You'll get way ahead. You'll get the weapon levels. Once you've got all your weapon levels 20, you can keep going to 34, or once you've got all your weapon levels 20 for the whole group, you just split up and go back to main quest, side quest, collecting lore pages, and town board stuff on the side. But what I would like them to do is I want them to buff group content. It's an MMO. You shouldn't be punished for wanting to play with a group. It's not a single player RPG, because that seems to be the way they want you to level, is a single player RPG, because they nerfed elite farming. They nerfed portals. They nerfed questing together because you only want to be in a 2-man group. A 2-man group, by the way, is ideal. So if you have 2 of you doing the same quest together, you're going to clear it faster. So you can get ahead of the curve. Just 2 of you are just starting in the same town and just doing the main side quest together, and you'll just zoom through. And if you're PvP flagged, if there's 2 of you, you can gank like 1 person and get some XP. If you're not ahead of the curve, I would not recommend PvP flagging at all. So, yeah, Hammer has lifesteal. Okay, so yeah, if it has lifesteal abilities, then yeah, go with the Hammer. If that's what you want to do, then it has self-sustain, it's worth it. I'm actually told one of the best weapons for PvE is Spear, so maybe Spear, Hatchet. Hatchet, Hammer if you want. Yeah, just whatever you enjoy for that. Like PvE, you don't need to worry about viability or meta. If you just have self-sustain, that's all you need.